How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to StrangeVoodooTV. I'm Buddy Strange, and this is going to be Buddy's Mock Draft 1.0, and this one should be fun. I am so excited for you guys to hear and see who I picked to go where. But before we do, quick note, I do want to say that I'm not going to go really into depth on all of these just for time's sake. and editing sake on my part. But that being said, hit me up in the comments down below if you want a more in-depth explanation on any of the picks. I would gladly answer you if you have any questions on why I picked someone to go where. Just hit me up in the comments below, as well as who you think will go somewhere. I'd love to hear who you want your favorite team to get, who you think will get a certain player if you follow players or something like that. I would love to hear from you in the comments down below, any of that. But that being said, let's get started with the picks. First off, the Cardinals, I have getting Kyler Murray out of Oklahoma. Yes, they did draft Josh Rosen this past year, but the rumors have been circling around that Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury have a thing going on where there's mutual interest, and Kingsbury said if he had the #1 pick, he'd draft him there and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's more to that. I think for the offense that Cliff Kingsbury wants to run, he is more suited because he's dual threat, whereas Josh Rosen, I mean, yeah, he can run a little bit, but he doesn't have the legs. Well, to me, he barely has an arm as well, but, you know, that's beside the point. I do think the Cardinals get Murray. It'd be fun, exciting. He's electric. I mean, he does have this, he has a ceiling of Michael Vick and a bottom of, I'd say, Cordell Stewart, but I don't mean Cordell Stewart. I just mean like a player that can be used around on an offense, not just at quarterback. And I mean, Cordell Stewart, I love Cordell Stewart. I think he was a great player, so I'm not saying his bottom is still Cordell Stewart. I'm just saying qualities of Cordell Stewart and like a poor man's Cordell Stewart. But I think they do this and then ship Josh Rosen to somewhere. I'm not sure where yet, but somewhere. All right, next off, pick number 2, 49ers. I have Nick Bosa, the edge rusher out of Ohio State. They've been missing a dominating edge presence since they lost Alden Smith, Eli Harold, Aaron Lynch, all those people combined, mostly Alden Smith. They lost him and they haven't been the same since. And I think Nick Bosa can help on that edge presence, rushing the passer for that defense. And between him, Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner, that's going to be pretty scary. That's going to be pretty scary. All right, number 3, Jets. I've got Andre Dillard out of Washington State, offensive tackle. Plain and simple, you already got a weapon for Sam Darnold and Jamison Crowder. You got Robbie Anderson. You got Le'Veon back behind Sam Darnold. I think you need somebody protecting him, and at left tackle, that nice DeBrickashaw Ferguson type player that, you know, is just a staple for 10 years plus. And I think he'd be a good complement to Kelechi Osemele, who they picked up via trade between them and the Raiders. So I think Andre Dillard, perfect fit right here. Also, a Jonah Williams, I could see that happening, but I don't know. I think they go Andre Dillard right here. All right, number 4, we've got the Raiders taking Quinnen Williams. I mean, just that Warren Sapp type guy. I know John Gruden worked with Warren Sapp. He loves that dominating presence that you can fit on that line and just eat up space and just dominate from the interior out. And I think that's how John Gruden likes to build his defenses. And even though they have Forrest Rucker and Maurice Hurst, I still think they go Quinnen Williams here, and I mean, they'll shift around the line to get the pieces where they need to be, but I don't think they pass up a Quinnen Williams right here. I could also see Josh Allen here like an edge rusher, but I think they just go dominating Warren Sapp type presence, something that Gruden's familiar with. I think they go that here. I could also see a dark horse quarterback selection like Dwayne Haskins right here if they are serious about trying to move Carr, which they talked to Combine about doing, so that could be also in the mix. I'd watch out for that. But Quinnen Williams, I think, is going to be the pick at this point. All right, number 5, we've got Buccaneers. I say they get Josh Allen. They picked up Shaquille Barrett, and I think he's an underrated pickup. That guy is a monster, and he was even a monster in a backup role for the Broncos. So if he's spotlighted here, there's no doubt in my mind he's going to prove his worth for the Buccaneers, but I also see them going out and getting a Josh Allen to pair with him and just have a dominating defensive pass rush attack, especially with players like Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Drew Brees. You want pressure on those passers all day, every day, and I think they go Josh Allen here. I could also see a Greedy Williams or something like that, some in the back into the defense to help out as well. All right, Giants, I have not going Dwayne Haskins. I have them selecting Rashawn Gary to help replace Damon Snacks Harrison and Pierre-Paul, who they lost, a year ago, but they've been missing him, and Olivier Vernon. Rashawn Gary, he's a multi-tool on the defensive line. He can be any spot you need him to be. I see him with the Giants being a defensive end, so not really a Damon Snacks Harrison replacement, but more Olivier Vernon, Jason Pierre-Paul replacement. And I think, they can plug him in right away and he'll do fine. And I think they start building up that defense, because that's really what got them to the last couple of Super Bowls. And I'm not sure if Shermer knows it, or I don't know if Gettleman knows it, but management can join forces and try to say, hey, we need some pieces on defense. Our offense is okay. We've been really struggling on defense. Let's get a top-notch player. And I think they go Rashawn Gary. I could also see an Ed Oliver or something like that, but I don't know. I think Rashawn Gary, he's more adaptive to cold weather and stuff. I mean, playing in Houston, Ed Oliver didn't face as many cold days, I would believe, as Rashawn Gary did. And, it gets cold up there in New York or New Jersey. So I can see the Giants going Rashawn Gary. All right, next up we have Jaguars. I think they get a piece in Noah Fant to help complement newly signed Nick Foles. I mean, they've got the running game in check. Their wide receivers, they need a little work. I'll agree with you there. But I think they add that Zach Ertz type caliber, that next Mercedes Lewis type guy in that offense, because they've seen that the league can win with a good tight end group, and I think Tom Coughlin definitely knows it, and I think they take advantage of that, of his knowledge and that knowledge. And I could see them going a defensive piece too, but I think they feel they're good on defense. Maybe a defensive lineman here, like an Ed Oliver or something, to replace Malik Jackson, who left and went to the Eagles. I could see that, but I just think they go offense, and specifically tight end or wide receiver, some in the receiver category, but here I think they do go tight end. All right, at number 8, we've got the Lions. I think the Lions go out and try to find their next Calvin Johnson type player in DK Metcalf out of Ole Miss. Now, let me preface this with, I do think A.J. Brown is going to be the better wide receiver in the NFL, longer career, better stats, stuff like that. But I could also see DK Metcalf just being the next big thing, Julio Jones type guy, based on work ethic and stuff like that. I could see him just dominating the league for a little bit and then kind of falling off the radar, whereas Brown I see as maybe not the best stats every year, but pretty solid for a while. But I think the Lions, they've been missing that wide receiver, that dominating wide receiver, and they lost Golden Tate as well. I think they go DK Metcalf out of Ole Miss right here. All right, number 9, Bills. I think they get Ed Oliver to help replace Kyle Williams. They've signed Latule, and they have Harrison Phillips, who I'm still big on. I think Harrison Phillips can be a difference maker in this league, like a J.J. Watt almost. Maybe not J.J. Watt, but I think he has a high ceiling, if a ceiling at all, and I think Harrison Phillips will I think he'll develop into a very, very good player for a long time in this league, whether it's with the Bills or someone else. But I still see them going Ed Oliver here. He's kind of like almost like a Swiss Army knife on the defensive line, like Rashawn Gary. He has range, but I think you get a little meat on him and you press him into an Aaron Donald role, where sometimes he'll play defensive end in certain packages, and certain packages he'll be an interior 4-3 defensive tackle kind of player. But I think the Bills, they selected Marcel Darius for the same reason, that kind of stuff. I think they go Ed Oliver out of Houston right here. All right, the Broncos at number 10. I think they get Devin White, middle linebacker out of LSU, just a phenom of sorts. I mean, they need to replace a lot of pieces on that defense that left, be it outside linebacker depth, defensive tackle, defensive line in general, just depth at the defensive end, and then defensive tackle, back end. They need a couple of safeties, cornerbacks. So I could see if Ed Oliver or Rashawn Gary falls, I could see them taking them. I could see Greedy Williams right here, but here I put Devin White. out of LSU. I think he'll provide a spark that they like since they lost Brandon Marshall, who was a tackling machine. I think this guy can come in and maybe even outplay Marshall's production, because Devin White, I mean, he was, outside of a couple issues, he was a star at LSU, and I could see him being a star in the NFL as well for a long time. So I think they go Devin White at number 10. All right, number 11 is going to be the Bengals getting Greedy Williams. Yes, they need to replace Darqueze Dennard and Adam Pac-Man-Jones, who's been gone for a while, but they still haven't found anybody to replace his production, so they need someone in that defensive backfield. They could go linebacker right here as well. I could see them adding some type of offensive piece, either on the line or a receiver of some sort. Not a tight end, really. I mean, they could use some depth at tight end, but I don't see them drafting tight end, not first round anyway. Even with Eifert's injury issues, that'd be a later round thing, I think, for them. They're definitely going to draft a tight end. I would bet money on it, but not first round. So I think the next best thing is Greedy Williams out of LSU. He's probably going to be the next Pat Pete type player, so they'll be lucky to get him. All right, Packers at number 12. I see them selecting Jonah Williams and solidifying the line for Rodgers. I could also see a wide receiver here, but not this early. Maybe with their other pick. Maybe with their next pick at 30, but not right here. Their linemen are getting older, moving on, so I think they need another piece to solidify that line. They've done a lot through free agency on defense. They may want to add another piece on defense. I could see them drafting another defensive player here, like a Clelin Ferrell, Christian Wilkins, or something like that, but I don't know. I think they go out and solidify that line, especially with Matt Fleur coming from Tennessee, where they had a pretty solid line. They were an injured line, but they had pretty solid players before they were injured on that line. And then the Rams, which he actually came from the Rams as well, they had one of the best lines, if not the best line this past year, and I think he learns from that and says, hey, we need to work on this line a little bit, and I think they get possibly the best tackle prospect on the market, Jonah Williams, at number 12. All right, 13, here's one out of left field. Get ready for this one. We haven't seen him yet, so he is going to fall to the Dolphins. Dwayne Haskins, instead of the Giants, he goes down all the way to the Dolphins, who just signed Ryan Fitzmagic, which is exciting. I can't wait to see him play for the next AFC East team, and when Tom Brady retires, watch him take over the Patriots as well. Ryan Fitzmagic. Other than that, they have Luke Falk and someone else. I forget exactly who else they have, like David Fells or something like that. Anyway, no, I can see Dwayne Haskins coming in, learning from Fitzmagic, just, gathering all that knowledge, just rubbing beards and gaining that knowledge, because that's how you gain knowledge in the bearded community. Dwayne Haskins coming in. I could see it happening for sure. All right, next up, we've got the Falcons at 14. I think they go big. I think they go Christian Wilkins, defensive line out of Clemson. If he's there, which, I mean, again, the Packers, the Bengals, heck, even the Broncos could take him. Bills could take him. No, if he falls to 14, I think he's definitely going to be picked up by the Falcons. They have some other pieces that they could worry about, but I think they need to focus on defense, specifically defensive line, and I think they do it here, and I think they're happy that that they did with getting Christian Wilkins. I could also see his partner in crime, Clelin Ferrell, but Christian Wilkins, yes, at 14. All right, here's another one that might be a little out of left field. Drew Lock to the Redskins. He's out of Missouri, quarterback, touted as one of the best of this class, which this class isn't a strong one for me. It's looking a lot like the 2013 class with E.J. Manuel and Mike Glennon, and it's just not looking too strong. But I mean, I could be totally wrong on that, and I'd be glad to be wrong, because I love good football and I root for good football, and if they're great quarterbacks, I would be more than happy to be wrong. But at this point in time, it's not looking good for the quarterback group, be it character concerns, be it effort issues, be it play in general. It's like, But Drew Lock, one of the best in this class, going to the Redskins to learn under Case Keenum and Alex Smith before Alex Smith ultimately retires at halftime in Week 8. Calling it here, calling it now. You heard it here first. He signs a one-day contract with the Chiefs. Get that, Chiefs, not 49ers. And goes home a hero. But no, I could see Drew Lock going to the Redskins, learning for a year, backing up for a year or so, maybe 2, if Keenum is that much better, and then gets in there and gets the job done. All right, at 16, halfway through, we've got the Panthers getting Clelin Ferrell. Ever since the infamous Greg Hardy was lost to time and drug charges and weapon charges and battery charges and all that good stuff, and then Julius Peppers just retired. They did just pick up Bruce Irving, but I don't think that's enough. I think they do go in and get a defensive lineman and Clelin Ferrell, and I mean that's going to be good for him, pairing him with Quan Short and stuff like that. I mean, they did lose Starlet Tulele, so they could use somebody, and I think they go Clelin Ferrell right here, add a good piece to that defensive front, and just call it a day. All right, the Giants' second pick, I do think they go wide receiver here, and I think they go A.J. Brown out of Ole Miss, pair Ole Miss with Ole Miss, Eli and A.J. right here. And like I said, I do think A.J. is going to be the better receiver long term. I could be wrong on that, but I think he's more of a consistent player. I think A.J. comes in and him and Sterling Shepard get a good wide receiver group going, and Eli can get a good rapport with him, I think. And then between him, all those two, and Evan Ingram and Saquon Barkley, I think they're doing all right. He's certainly no Odell Beckham Jr., but he also doesn't bring diva-ness to the game. That's not a huge factor for me, but you know, it helps if your wide receivers are kind of quiet and just do their work, like a DeAndre Hopkins, a Demaryius Thomas, something like that. Once you get into Odell Beckham Jr., Antonio Brown territory, T.O., you know, that kind of stuff, it's like, But I mean, the talent's there. But I do think A.J. Brown, he can be a solid Juju Smith-Schuster type player, and he's got a certain type of motivation to him that I do like, and confidence without being arrogant. It seems, I've watched a couple of interviews and stuff with him, and he seems like a good kid, and I can't wait to see him in the league. I think he's going to do really good with the Giants in this case. All right, 18, we've got the Vikings getting Juwan Taylor out of Florida. I think their line has been not good. They're pretty much set on defense right now. I guess I could see them getting a defense player, but they seem pretty set. Quarterback, of course, they're set. Running back, they seem pretty good. Dalvin Cook and whoever else they got back there at the moment. Wide receivers are perfect. Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, no worries there. Tight end with Kyle Rudolph. I mean, I could see a later round pickup there, but they should be fine. Where I think the most glaring need is offensive line, and I could see them going a Cody Ford route or something like that, but I think they get the best lineman on the board, bar none, at this point. I'm not saying he's the best lineman in the draft, but he's definitely one of the best linemen, if not the best lineman still on the board at this point. I think the Vikings pull the trigger and get Juwan Taylor out of Florida. All right, pick 19 is the Titans. I've got them getting Brian Burns out of Florida State. He's an edge rusher, defensive end type player. They missed out on trade for Jason Pierre-Paul last year. They missed out on the Robert Quinn trade last year. Derek Morgan, they never really got the production they wanted out of him, and that leaves basically Jarrell Casey in that line, and he can't do it all by himself. So I think they get a counterpart to him to aid with that front seven of Harold Landry, Rashaan Evans, Jarrell Casey, Wesley Woodyard, and they add that piece, that nice, good edge rusher that they can pair with Harold Landry on the other side and get after Deshaun Watson and Andrew Luck, and now Nick Foles. I think they get Brian Burns, and I mean, I think he's a simple fit right in there. All right, 20, we've got these Steelers. I think they go tight end here, actually. A lot of mock drafts have a defensive player or a wide receiver going there. I do think they draft that, and I think it's important, but I don't know. I think they go tight end here because they did lose Jesse James to the Lions, I believe, so they need to replace that with something, and I don't think it's from in-house. I think they do go draft, and I think they get the best tight end left on the board at this point. I mean, no offense, probably the top one, and then they get actually his teammate out of Iowa, TJ Hawkinson, to replace Jesse James. You got Juju Smith-Schuster, you got James Washington. You can draft another receiver later, but you have Eli Rogers as well. I think the wide receiver core is set. Running back James Conner, and I think I don't know. I just think they go tight end here. They follow the, I hate to say it, but the Patriots model of having a good tight end, and I think it works. They're happy with their decision at the end of the day. All right, 21, we got the Seahawks. I'd have them getting DeAndre Baker. It could very easily be Byron Murphy as well. I want to make that very clear, but I don't know. There's a certain quality to DeAndre Baker, like a physicalness that I see in him that I don't necessarily see in Byron Murphy, and I think that's what Pete Carroll loves. And even though Byron Murphy is the hometown hero kind of thing out of Washington, I don't know. I see DeAndre Baker going there rather than Byron Murphy. Although I could see it. I could see it. But they do need someone to help in the back end. And I very easily can see DeAndre Baker in a Seahawks uniform balling out for him. And I think he brings the physicalness that they're losing, or actually have lost all of, in the Legion of Boom. They lost every single player from the Legion of Boom now that Earl Thomas went to Baltimore. So I could see them trying to add that physicalness back through the draft. And I think they go DeAndre Baker. All right, Ravens getting Jeffrey Simmons at 22. They lost Zadarius Smith. I don't know. I think they needed a defensive presence. They got Earl Thomas, so they covered the safety position. They could go middle linebacker right here, like a Devin Bush. I definitely could see that to replace CJ Mosley. I could see. Actually, that might be in the mock draft 2.0. I could see that. But no, I think they go Jeffrey Simmons right here out of Mississippi State. Pretty strong at the point of attack. And I don't know. I could see it either way, Devin Bush or, something like that. I could see that, but no, I think they go Jeffrey Simmons right here. All right, 23, we have the Texans getting Dexter Lawrence, and you're like, what? Why do they need Dexter Lawrence? Well, first off, he's a top 10 defensive lineman coming down at 23, so, there's that. But you have J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney. Why would you need? Well, first off, they lost their one of their big ones in Covington. They lost him, defensive tackle. They lost him, and they're serious talks about trading Jadeveon Clowney away from the Texans. So I think even if they don't trade Jadeveon Clowney away, he's more of an outside linebacker type, edge rusher guy. Where Dexter Lawrence is an interior lineman who can also play defensive end if you need him to. And I think especially the Texans, they love versatility of their linemen. J.J. Watt can play inside, outside. Jadeveon Clowney can play defensive end or rush standing up. They like that versatility, and I think they get Dexter Lawrence, who falls to them, and just make their defense way more scary. That defense is scary, but you add Dexter Lawrence type of ability to that line with the Jadeveon Clowney, J.J. Watt, if they don't trade away Jadeveon Clowney. That is a scary front seven for sure. All right, the Raiders at 24. I think they get Cody Ford. Really, they added what they needed to other places. I could see them getting a Josh Jacobs, even a running back type, like a Damian Harris, Josh Jacobs, one of those players. I could see them adding one of those to their backfield, but I don't know. They just traded away Kelechi Osemele, their best offensive lineman, and they just got Trent Brown. So I think Cody Ford, an inside offensive guard type presence, I think that can add what they missed from trading away Kelechi Osemele, and he'll be a way cheaper option for him. And I don't know. I could also see them go in defense here, but I don't know. I think they go for that line with their second pick. All right, 25. Eagles getting Josh Jacobs, the player I just talked about, running back out of Alabama. They need a running back since they lost J.J. And, that's really one of the only pieces that they absolutely need somebody. I could see them also going like a cornerback or something here, like Byron Murphy or something like that. But I don't know. I think they go offense, try to surround Carson Wentz with a couple more options. So I think they go Josh Jacobs right here. All right, 26, we've got the Colts getting Jonathan Abraham, pair with Malik Hooker in the secondary. Nice physical safety, can play in the box if you need him to. They focused heavily on defense this past draft in 2018, getting one of the best picks, Darius Leonard, of course. But I think they snagged Jonathan Abraham here to solidify the back end. They didn't do well at times on the back end, so I think they could use a little help. Malik Hooker's been great, and I think all he needs is a partner in crime, and I think they get that in Jonathan Abraham. All right, and with the third pick, the Raiders Get Devin Bush out of Michigan to solidify that linebacking spot. They don't have a true, number one guy. I think they get that in Devin Bush, outside linebacker. That's probably where you're going to see him most likely. Rushing the passer from the outside, since they're lacking that. But yeah, I think the Raiders go heavy on defense in round 1 with 2 picks going defense. And then I do think they solidify that offensive line spot with Cody Ford with one of their picks. But I see them going mostly defense in round 1 because that's where they're really hurting right now. You can say all you want about their offense and stuff, like wide receivers and stuff. They got Antonio Brown, but they got Tyrell Williams, but he's a poor man's Jordy Nelson. I don't really see him being fantastic, not having Phillip Rivers be your quarterback, but anything can happen. I think they go Devin Bush, middle linebacker right here. All right, pick 28, Chargers getting Byron Murphy to replace Jason Verrett. It's kind of simple. They got Casey Hayward still, but they need another piece, especially with Jason Verrett being out, and they got Derwin James backing him up. So, that's almost perfect. And if not Byron Murphy, if Seahawks get Byron Murphy, then it's going to be DeAndre Baker. One of the two, pretty much interchangeable right here. One of the cornerbacks is going there. All right, the Chiefs, I think they go ahead and get Greg Little, the next best lineman on the board. I could also see Marquise Brown going there because Tyreek Hill is having a couple issues right now. Don't know the severity of that yet, and I don't think they do either. So I could see a wide receiver going here, like a Marquise Brown or something like that, a Tyreek Hill type player. And I might actually want to change that for my mock draft too, because I kind of didn't think about that yet. Actually, when I made this mock draft, the reports about Tyreek Hill didn't come out yet, so I actually might want to go back and change that, because now they just have like Sammy Watkins and a couple other pieces. But I do have Greg Little right here. I think they need to add to that line to protect Mahomes, and he's definitely one of the best linemen left. Could potentially be the best lineman out of the draft. That's how good these linemen are, especially the tackle group are, and I could see them picking him up. But now that I'm thinking out about it, Marquise Brown, that might be the better selection for the Chiefs at 29, but right now I got Greg Little. All right, Packers at 30, their second pick. I got them getting Marquise Brown, so out of Oklahoma, to replace Randall Cobb and both the punt return, kick return, wide receiver, all of the above. Just his production. Either Geronimo Allison can take over the kick, punt return duties, and Marquise Brown is just a regular wide receiver. But I could definitely see Marquise Brown going to the Packers to give Aaron Rodgers a little something to work with, and Matt LaFleur a little something to work with. All right, 31, we have the Rams getting Montez Sweat out of Mississippi State. He was found to have a heart condition kind of thing. I don't think it's too bad because it was pre-existing, meaning he played with that heart condition throughout college and stuff. It is concerning, definitely. That's why I think he slips all the way from a top 15 pick to 31. But I think he'll be fine. I don't think it's a issue that'll totally wipe out his whole career, but like Maurice Hurst had the same type of issue, heart murmurs and stuff or something like that, and then he was picked up in the 5th round. He was a projected first, second round guy, got picked up in the 5th round. So that may actually happen here, but I don't think he slips past the Rams or the Patriots even. I could see the Patriots at 32 getting him as well, but I think the Rams get him at 31 to aid that defense. All right, lastly, we've got the Patriots at 32, and simple as this, doubt they'll actually do this, but it's time for a quarterback. It's been time for a quarterback for a while. Just put someone in there to learn from Tom Brady, even though I hear Tom Brady's a terrible teacher, so to speak. Like, he just focuses on himself and his craft, but doesn't really help anybody else out, and that's why you don't see Matt Castle succeeding, or Brian Hoyer succeeding, or Jacoby Brissett succeeding, and Jimmy Garoppolo. We haven't really seen him just yet. In the small sample size we do have, it's been pretty above average. He was good at the end of the season that he got traded to the 49ers, but this past season, even before tore his ACL, it was not looking good for their season. But I think they go Daniel Jones out of Duke. Do I really believe that they do that? Kind of not. But do I think they should? Absolutely. I think they should go Daniel Jones, the best quarterback on the board to this point. And even if it's not Daniel Jones, like if Washington selects Daniel Jones and Drew Lock fall, I think it should be Drew Lock. But really, what do I believe? I believe they either go wide receiver or defensive end type player, especially losing Trey Flowers. They need someone like that. I could also see if Greg Little falls or one of the tackles fall, them getting the offensive tackle to replace Trent Brown. I could see one of those moves because Belichick isn't, he's not into big flashy moves, although Sony Michel last year in round 1 was pretty splashy, and it's worked out really well thus far. So you never know with Bill Belichick and the Patriots organization, but I do think they go Daniel Jones right here out of Duke. Alright, and that is the end of Buddy's Mock Draft 1.0. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Please comment down below any of these picks that you agree with, disagree with, what you think, who's your favorite player that you want to see going round 1, where do you think they'll go, who's your favorite team, who do you think they'll pick, anything like that. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments down below, so hit me up down there. We've got some more awesome content coming to you shortly, gaming video, AF weekly pick'em and wrap-up show, all of that coming shortly, so stay tuned for that. Hit the notification button so you don't miss any of that good content. I love being able to talk to you guys, and I appreciate your time for sure. Thank you for sticking around with me, and let's continue to build something special. What do you guys say? Anyway, but no, that's gonna do it for us here today, and as always, I'm Buddy Strange. This is StrangeVoodooTV. Keep it strange. I'll see you in the next one, and peace out.